So crazy stuff. We are online, Barbara. I promised you to be online. The super experience. But to be honest, I don't feel the YouTube thing at the moment. I
We
just
are in.
know it.
No,
We're in. Okay.
now it comes. Yeah, we are here.
Okay. Perfect. Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Hello.
Hello. Nice to share this Sunday morning with you all, despite the fact that we have a pandemic and can't be together in the normal analog space. It's super nice that you all found your time to come and share this watching, looking, gazing at art and discussing it. I hope you all got the netiquette we send around. If you have any technical questions, just send it to Martin. He's the one who's helping us with audio, video, shared screen stuff. If you have questions or want to give inputs during our talk, we have Anja, our kaufmännische Leitung, head of financial affairs, who's supporting this art brunch and communicating with me permanently, and Aristeidis and Barbara. And we try to integrate your questions. I hope you all hear me well, perfectly well. Then welcome to our first Schaumbad Art Brunches online that we had more or less to do it, but because of the pandemic, but as Aristeidis, our artist for today, is already in Athens, this online way of talking and communicating, discussing, gave us the opportunity even to have him as a guest here. Thanks for being with us, Aristeidis.
Thank you for having me.
Also, I want to introduce Barbara Porod, who's with us as talking experts, talking guest. I know you would look like this if I say expert, but you are. Let me know for the beginning. Ask Eva to give some information on the art brunch for those who are with us for the first time. Probably someone on YouTube who doesn't know what the idea of the art brunch of the Schaumbad is. Would you be so nice and give us some infos on the format?
We started the format in 2015 with our first Styrian artist in residence. This is a program of the Styrian government for international artists to work and live in Graz for a certain time and to make presentations. And we hosted some of the first Styrian artists in residence in Schaumbad. At the same time, the format is our meeting point with the outside. So we make our own presentations at the art branch, where we show the processes that are going on in the house, and it doesn't have to be finished works. It can be everything, actually. It can be an installation, an exhibition. It can be a presentation of an idea and a discussion about it. And it also happened that ideas were discussed further at the art branch and developed further. And a year later, we had a presentation of the complete thing. So it should mirror the working space we have here, like the production and the processes. And it's always one Sunday in the month, at 11 o'clock, and we always try to get some food that connects to the topic. Like today, there is some Greek food, and sometimes also the artists in residence are cooking. When we have it in the real space, of course, it's much different because we sit together in the room and the artists prepare some food together with us. And when the sun is coming, like in spring, we can sit outside at the terrace in the sun and eat and drink and continue to talk. So it's the day in the month where everybody is welcome to visit Schaumbad and get the best of it, like seeing the house, talk to the artist, and communicate with each other.
Sounds wonderful, isn't it? I hope
it will come back again.
Yes. Until now, we can leave on our pajamas. So, do you hear me? Because my internet had some kind of problems. Okay, everything's fine. Despite the fact that we have these very challenging circumstances, we had Aristeidis Lappas here at Schaumbad as one of these already mentioned Styria artist in residence programs. He worked here from the mid of November. Had to leave us this week. Is back in Athens now. Just a few words on Aristeidis. He lives and works in Athens, but studied at the University of West England, Bristol, UK, and the Accademia delle Belle Arti, Bologna, Italy. He already presented his works in several exhibitions in Athens, England, and the US. Thanks for being here, sharing with your art piece and being open to discussion. That's something very special, I think, that people are open to talk and discuss. Aristeidis is interested in the creation of a sense of collectivity, I would say, of the feeling of spirituality, transcendency in art or via art. His compositions are multi-layered. Aristeidis makes use of ancient Greek symbolism, among other things. And his works are narrative works. They all tell a story in the context of history and mythologies. And as we said on our homepage, he reminds us almost without warning of something like our collective cultural Western European identity. And let me put this under this. He's interested in exploring icons of conscious and unconscious community dynamics and tries to raise questions like when and how do we feel as part of a collective. But Aristeidis prepared a presentation for us, and I would be very happy for him to show this to us. But before, just some words on Barbara. Barbara, we have you here as our discussion guest. Barbara studied classical archaeology and ancient history in Graz. She worked as an excavation director and study assistant at the Institute of Archaeology at the Karl Franzens University in Graz, and works at the Universal Museum Joanneum since 2005, where we two were close colleagues. And since 2011, she's the chief curator for the Provincial Roman Collection and Cabinet of Antiquities. I hope I translated this right. And is the scientific director of the reorganization of the Museum of Archaeology. So we thought it very interesting to invite her because the way Aristeidis is trying to recreate or question the idea of identity. A historian or archaeologist also does this deconstructing or constructing identities. So we thought we'd touch these borders of artistic and historical or scientific research and the idea of identities to be deconstructed and constructed from both ways. So thanks for being with us. And now, Aristeidis, please
All
share
right.
your screen.
So,
Thanks.
all right. All right. So, one second. Okay. So, yeah, the main two topics I'm going to be talking about and that are in my work are spirituality and identity. And so I would like to start a bit with my background. So I grew up in the suburbs of Athens, so not exactly the center where like everything is happening, but a little bit away from all that. And like one of the first experiences that has really had an effect on me, and like I see it coming again into my work, is like going to church with my family and like experiencing this feeling in there with the art and the smells and the sounds and even the architecture. So that has stayed with me, and I think it's one of the starting points of why I'm interested in those things. The other thing is that after like at a pretty early stage, I started going to an international school, which the curriculum it followed was not so much in touch with like the Greek curriculum, but it was an international one. And at the same time, I started doing street art. So moving to England, and I decided to study illustration. But I realized that illustration and drawing could not capture exactly what I wanted. Um, so I started looking into spirituality and how I can capture those feelings that I first had when I was at the at the church, and that's when I decided to focus on painting and also abstraction um, rather than completely drawing. Okay, the slideshow is going a bit way too fast, so we'll figure that out. Um, okay, so coming back to Athens after studying in the UK, I had to, in a sense, I had to rediscover my identity as a Greek person because throughout all this time, I was, I was not really in touch with with the okay, so I'm stopping the share screen. Maybe we can come back to it. So yeah, I was not really in touch with what it meant to be Greek, and I had to rediscover it when I came back. Um, and that's when I also started to thinking about the symbols of Greekness. And at the same time, at that point, I was trying to combine abstract and illustration in one sort of style. Okay, so going into the main topic. So what is spirituality? So for me, spirituality is the way that we connect to the sublime. So what is the sublime? So I believe that the sublime is a collective, a big collective feeling that we all share. So in a sense that it's like a big bubble of collective feelings that we all empathically create and that we empathically tap into. So we can think about like music concerts or gospel churches where through doing something all together, you sort of get in touch with this feeling of this like grand and profound feeling. Or at the same time, on a smaller scale, we can think about like a good like a very nice dinner with like good friends and people you love, that it almost feels like in a sense like a gathering, like in the way we say grace and all this. Um so a big bubble of collective emotions that we can all tap into. So as this thing is created by a collective, by 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 everyone, and is created collectively, the way we experience it as individuals, we experience it as something bigger than us, and yeah, something outside of us and also bigger than us. At the same time, I believe that this is can serve also as a valuation system that changes throughout, depending on the situation. Um, that tells us how um, that says how we collectively feel about certain things. So, so we can think about the notion of beauty and what we consider to be beautiful, but at the same time also what we fear, or like what we consider the things like that are bad for us. Or here I'm thinking like how we project the notion of evil onto something that's a predator or a beast or something that can attack us or harm us. So I consider the sublime to be a big like cluster of collective feelings that changes throughout time, depending on what we collectively feel about certain things. So, in order to communicate this thing and bring it from the ephemeral sphere, the ephemeral area of feelings, and make it into something that actually manifests in reality, we need to create symbols for it. So we need to say, okay, we need to, in a way, in a way, personify those feelings into certain in certain things. So and in order to do that, we make up narratives that explain why we attach these meanings to the specific um, things or objects or characters or ideas or stories. So we can think about like tribal totems or amulets, like jewelry we can have that holds a special meaning, or mythological characters and gods. So we attach the meaning of the sublime into certain symbols, which are also connected to narratives. And in a way, the enactment of these narratives becomes the rites and rituals that we all that these communities participate in. So we can think about, for example, like a sacred animal for the indigenous people of America was the bison, because it provided them with food and clothing, and so one of their sacred deities was the bison. And for example, in the rituals of a boy, in order to become a man, he had to go hunt. He had to go hunt the bison. So we see that how these narratives can can become rites and rituals that that the community participates in, and through these activities, a moral conduct is created that these communities have to abide by, I guess. And this is how how organized religions are formed, because you have the experience, the narrative, and the collective structure. So from the experience, you make a narrative to justify the experience, and from the enactment of the narrative, and from the enactment of the narrative, you get a sort of moral conduct in order to structure this community. For my work, I focus on the narrative, as Elke said earlier. And the narrative is very important because it affects and forms the way that we perceive the world around us, and also how we perceive ourselves and the people in our communities. So, for example, in the Christian religion, society values societal structure and dismisses natural impulse as sin. So what is good for society is good, but what your natural impulses tell you to do is a sin. In this way, in this narrative, man, the male figure, represents the societal responsibility, and the woman represents the natural impulse. So we can see this from the myth of creation, where Eve takes the apple from the snake and commits the original sin. So what this is implying, in one sense, is that it is in the nature of that sin is embedded in the nature of women, and also that our natural impulses are wrong, and these stories are not, we don't think about them every day, or they might not be a part of our realities. Even if you're not religious, and you believe the story, there are societies that we might belong in, these narratives have affected the way that we think about those things, and down the line on how we form our societies and the identities within our societies. So these things, even if we're not conscious of it, these things have affected the way we think, not because we have chosen to take these stories as our reference points, but also because this is the way we collectively think. But this sort of structure doesn't only function with religions, but it can also work on other for other things. So, for example, it can also work on a national level, and for this, like for what like a good example and something also important for me is how the Greek identity was structured. So after the War of Independence from the Ottoman Empire, the Greek people had to establish a new national identity. And following the spirit of the European Philhellenes, they sought to construct an identity that was based on antiquity and the ancient Greek language, disregarding many years of polyethnic influence in the people, in the Greek people. As the people that were in charge of creating this identity belonged to an intellectual elite, it was not in their, they did not want to represent what the people felt and what was the common feeling of the people. But it was more like what they wanted that identity to be like. And this led to a dissonance between what the people were told, who the people were told they are, and what the people actually felt to be. And this, for me, this has caused a very deeply rooted disruption between the people and the state that is still felt today in Greece, I feel like. So we see that the power of these narratives and the symbols have a very big effect on how we perceive the world, and they have an effect that comes from inside our I guess subconscious, or it's like it comes from the inside rather. Like it's not something that we process logically, but it's something that we are hardwired to experiencing and to seeing that way. And this also affects who we believe we are, and who we believe other people are, and how we see how we see our societies. So to bring it back to the work and the artwork, I mean, the slideshow passed by super fast, but
could you just play it again, the slideshow?
Yeah, sure.
That would be super nice.
It went on super fast, and I thought it would take longer, but anyways. Okay, well, okay, wait. Technical difficulties, you guys, 1 second. I'm gonna start it from here, actually. Yeah, so the aim of my work and what I want to do is to create a vocabulary based on these symbols, and through these symbols to be able to resonate to our cultural, ethnic, or gender identities, and ask questions regarding who we are and how we can reimagine ourselves to be. So this is what I want to do. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
So that's an enormous discussion. You just
it touches on a lot of topics, and like I kind of wanted to go through it and start from something like super fundamental and get to hopefully it made sense, hopefully and it kind of relates to also like the artwork, I hope.
Yeah. Are there any questions from the audience so far? Something anyone didn't understand and wants to clarify? And remember, this is an art brunch. We are not a lecture at the university. It's a Sunday art brunch, so everyone
Casual.
relax and think about casual questions. For me, it was super interesting to hear again your way of thinking of and your the way you think about collectivity and subconscious, because it touches a lot the concepts of collective memory that I've been working a lot on, like these collective ideas and icons. And but you mentioned very often the question of Greek identity. Is this okay if I ask you what it means for you being Greek? Besides the references you already mentioned, what does it for you mean being Greek?
I don't know. I don't know
That's an answer.
exactly. I don't know exactly how to answer, but wait. Let me put this. Should I stop the share screen, or should I leave this on?
Yeah, you could
I think
loop.
this could be.
You could loop it, probably.
Yeah, something to look at.
Because identity, collective and personal identities is such a very hard.
Okay, I'm stopping it.
Yeah, very hard topic.
Well, I like. I feel that. I feel that. Well, what kind of the way I like the way I perceive being Greek, or the way that like I like to think about it. Like first, I kind of want to dissolve from this singular idea of Greek in a sense, in a not from Greekness, but from something that is defined by that is enclosed by so I don't think that Greekness is something that should only be located in Greece in a way. So and the way I like to think about it is that for like that well so this is kind of contrary to what I just said, but like from the geographic location and of Greece, and the way that it has been influenced by all these different cultures, like the Middle East and North Africa and Western Europe and the Balkans. I feel that that being Greek is something that is kind of in the middle of all that, and an identity that sort of covers the spectrum of all that. So I can't really say like I couldn't say. So I guess for me, being Greek would be something that will be able to engage in a dialect with these cultures.
So the idea of an identity not as a fixed frame set, but of a permanent doing, of permanent gestures and ideas, and somehow a making, a permanent making. This is how I understood.
I guess so, but at the same time, I don't want like. I believe that the because this sort of opens up a lot, but I do think that it's very important to understand like the like history and the history of the place and the history of historically and culturally. So to so where you stand in order to be able to expand.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes any sense, but at the same time, I don't think it's not a concrete idea.
Can't be. After thanks to centuries of people thinking about creation of identity and deconstructing the identity, the idea of identity, I think still it's a point, as we see it with you, a point of
Oh, you froze.
frozen.
Can I ask you something in the meantime?
Yeah.
When I think about classical Greek imaginary, like all kinds of symbols that are traded even to the present, I also think of visual symbols that are transmitted at the same time, like in the 5th or 6th century BC. If you think of Etruscan art or even Central European Hallstatt art, they draw visual symbols from Greek art, but we lack the narrative. And even if we recognize the symbols, the single signs, there's no way we can understand the narrative. So this is my question to you. Where is the narrative? Is this a hidden narrative, or is this supposed to emerge just from the collective experience of your art?
Regarding my art?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is to construct a narrative, or to reconstruct a narrative, or to use these symbols that already have a narrative to re-examine our narrative, and through that construct a new one. So so for example, like taking symbols from like ancient Greece and the Middle East and Western Europe and bringing them together. Like I want to like re-examine the narratives that each of these symbols say, and ask questions on how we already perceive these narratives, and how we can create a narrative that finds new ways of thinking about these narratives that is more that is more representative of the way we think nowadays.
Symbolism for contemporary or even future Greekness.
Yeah, but not only Greekness. Like I'm using Greekness because this is what's important to me, and this is like my background. But ideally, I want to talk about an identity that transcends Greekness, and something that someone from different parts of the world will be able to identify with, rather than just Greek people. So I'm hoping that what I'm making does not only contain Greekness, but also okay, I'm gonna
humankind.
Yes, or also like talks about narratives from different cultures. So instead of Greekness, I wouldn't want Greekness to be the axis, the sole axis of how this is created, but I would like people to be able to place their own axis on how they perceive the work regarding their own culture and identity. But I guess I'm closer to Greekness because this is my standpoint, you know. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm quickly stepping in for Elke because her computer just shut down and she's working on it.
Shit.
So she will do that soon. But are there any other questions around it? Oh, I think she's coming. Elke is here now, I think. But maybe we keep talking. Barbara, do you have any other inputs you want to make?
Yeah, I'd like to talk to you about Kalos. In Austria, archaeologists still have to learn ancient Greek if they want to study archaeology at the university. And we are taught in a simplistic way that Kalos just has to be translated with beautiful. Kalos is beautiful. When in antiquity, the meaning was different. It meant pieces work together in perfect harmony, very well or excellently put together. This is what kalos actually means, not only aesthetically pleasing, but also everything that works together in perfect harmony. So any collective of individual experience, just as you described before, could be in harmony, called kalos, and therefore create its own beauty, if you will.
Yeah. I think so too. That in a way, like we all create what beauty means, and like through what we all believe beautiful, through what we all consider to be beautiful, the meaning of beauty is created, I guess. So yeah, through I you know, so I don't know, it makes sense to me that that it's something that is created by is like one notion created from many pieces, I guess. Yeah, I in my work, I don't know how, like, I don't even know, like, I'm not, I don't know, like, I don't, my aim in working is not to achieve beauty or not to achieve something beautiful. But I guess if I manage to create something that combines many pieces takes different pieces of many cultures or something, you know, and achieves to make something out of them, maybe it will be considered beautiful. I don't know. I hope so. If it's not, that's also okay.
Would it be okay, Aristeidis, if we share some of your pictures you made in Graz?
Yeah.
And maybe we can have some more questions in the meantime.
I'm up for it.
Yeah, well, I'm interested. I mean, you stayed at a priest seminar in Graz when you spent your time in Austria. Did you get some inspirations from being in Graz for your work?
Yeah. In regards to pre-seminar, like I thought, okay, so I thought I like it was like the you know, like the feeling of being like of Christian Catholic, like you know, Christian Catholicism was very intense in pre-seminar, but I really like I was really grateful of sort of like the space it gave me to like think about my work and sort of retract from everything and just focus on you know, like researching and thinking and figuring out all the stuff I was talking about earlier. So yeah.
Especially in a religious context, I think that's super interesting.
Yeah. It's everything. Even though like it wasn't planned, it was like it was very strange, like studying this stuff in a religious environment or context, because every time I was talking to people about it, like even like I was looking, even though I was looking into religion, it felt a bit like I was questioning it at the same time, which is true. And people were always like, oh, what are you saying now, you know? But it was very good.
You sometimes said you are trying to create some new religion. How about that plan?
Yeah, but that's a bit too grandiose, I think.
But you have a long life ahead.
Sorry?
You have a long life ahead, so there's plenty of time to develop.
Yeah, I guess maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, it's a pity that you came during the lockdown, because we have so many religious structures around Schaumburg, like Muslim prayer houses. We have the only mosque in Graz nearby. We have African Christian Free Church near. So it was not possible to visit all of that because it was not active most of it.
Yeah, and it would be and it would be really cool if we could have people from these communities also joining us today.
Yes, but the
but yeah,
contacts are not this good.
Yeah.
You can go there and meet, and they will introduce you to the communities, but you have to be there in person. You need a personal contact. So I hope that it might be possible that you come back in autumn for our next big project, Aristeidis, which is about religions and cultures in the Trieste Viertel. This is the quarter where Schaumburg is. And it's about the different religions we have here, but also about superstitions, like the number 13, which has special meanings in some religions, but mostly in the belief of in the folklore. So I think that is a field that's quite close to what you've been doing, and might deepen it with our next project. And I'm very forward to work together with you again.
But that is especially the point Aristeidis said before. You can't think religion without without the ideas of transcendency before they create the idea of religion started. So this folklore and religion always goes hand in hand, I think, within this idea of collective structures and identities, or as Barbara said, with these ideas of beauty that all stick
Yeah,
together.
I think the like regardless of how we frame it and how we like what narratives or symbols or what, however we choose to manifest it, like what's the most important is this experience, and this experience and this connection, you know, and in a sense it's the you know, I use this I use this term very cautiously, but it's what's the most real or the most truthful, you know, like to, you know, to say, okay, like I'm not gonna put a name on it, or I'm not gonna choose to define it as something, but you know, this is what I feel, and I feel this connection, and I feel this this very big, profound feeling, you know, and I think this is what's important.
Would it be okay if we could come back to your pieces you made here in Graz? Could you talk about explicitly about one or two of the pieces you made here in Graz? I think that would be super nice.
Yeah.
If Anya could share them, and you decide which one you would like to talk on.
Well, the works that I made in Graz, I wasn't really trying to explore a specific narrative, so the drawings don't actually represent something in particular, like there's no real reference to them, but there were more of I was trying to make something that would usually I work within compositions, so so the stuff that I make is within a composition. Whether the stuff that I was making in Graz did not they weren't in a composition, and they were sort of standing alone in the page, and that was I was trying to see how these forms can sort of stand by themselves outside of a composition, in order to try and see how they could work as sculptures or as costumes or something like that. So it was more of like like experimentations on
forms. Yeah,
on forms and how they can work in different ways, rather than like
a concept.
Like putting a narrative on them and trying to
But I think that the narrative comes when watching or when looking at it. You can't deny having a narrative. Like I could see a jaw here, an open jaw, for example.
That's That's
the right
amazing.
of- yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing, because that means that these forms resonate with uh, resonate with how you see how you see the world, and how you make meanings, how you make meanings from these from the meanings that you attach to these forms.
Yeah.
So um, yeah.
So the
So
right of the observer to create his or her own meaning is
yeah, and to yes, exactly, and also to uh, to 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 process this information, not logically, but instinctually, or intuitively,
Mhm.
Is
maybe.
it something like an universal language you want to create?
Yes, something that we can something that we can understand. Um, yeah, something that we can yeah, hopefully.
The question is if you're able.
Universal language of the sublime.
No,
No.
not of the sublime, but of the soul, I would say.
Beautiful.
And
Yeah.
we were also discussing question of if this conscious or subconscious, the question of humor.
Yeah.
Which role does humor play in your work? Because I find them super funny. I really have a lot of spaß with it. Really,
Well, I think
I enjoy it a lot, and I have spaß. I don't know how to put it in English. To have spaß with it, fun with it.
cool. Well, I think that's I think that I think that sort of comes from like an existential position, or like how you approach how you choose to see the world around you. So like I choose to see the world around me in these forms, and in this way. And it's, it's funny, and it's positive, and you know, I, I try to see the world in a positive way, and trying to find, like also find the humor in it, and I think the humor in the work comes from that from that standpoint. So choosing to trying to be positive. Yeah.
And what material did you use? You used crayons. Is this correct?
Yeah, oil pastel.
Pastel, yeah. Super nice.
There's a snake there.
Yes.
Yeah. Very archaic symbols, also from pre-Christian cultures.
Yeah. We all have snakes all around. Yeah.
Snakes are not negative.
No.
They're innocent.
Yeah. And like they're also a symbol of like of life and the natural cycle, and how like the Ouroboros, the snake that eats its tail, for a symbol of like infinity, or or from how the snake sheds his skin as a symbol of growth and transformation within one's lifespan.
May I ask Barbara something? Oh, she disappeared.
Yeah, no, I'm here.
Okay, because as an archaeologist and a historian, you come across symbols and pictures that you have to interpret with your scientific methods. How would you interpret? Imagine you find these pictures somewhere deep down Flavia Solva. How would you look at them?
Deep down, Flavia Solva style. There are two ways. If you are within a culture, if you say, I find a certain symbol in a Greek context, it has a certain meaning that can be deducted through written Greek sources that tell us exactly what they mean. I had talked about it earlier. I think this was when you were offline, that as soon as we lose the context and as soon as we lose the language and the narrative, we can see the sign, recognize the sign, but if the narrative is lost, we cannot understand it. This is what happens with Hallstatt period things that are also, if you will, symbols that are derived from a Greek world, but we cannot understand the meaning because we don't know the narrative. If I look at Aristeidis' work, of course, there are some that sort of catch my eye. I love the satire. I've said so before because I can see the torsion of the body, and it is something that I can easily recognize. With the recent work that he did in Schaumbad, I'm not quite so sure. We've seen now, again, I think it was 2 or 3 slides before this one, what I think is a helmet with testicles. And it could be that I understood it completely wrong. Yeah? Did I get the meaning or didn't I get the meaning? And I cannot know if the narrative isn't revealed. This is not the helmet with the testicles. Come on, show us the helmet with the testicles.
Where's the helmet with the testicles? Yeah.
No.
Well, I don't think they're like.
No.
There's no like. I feel that the narrative, like, since there's no direct representation in the, well, apart from the snake, but since there's no direct representation in these, the
Here we go.
Okay,
the helmet
cool.
with the testicles.
Nice. The narrative that that is a helmet, like in my head also, but since there's no well, if there was no direct narrative reference, I think that the narratives that we create for, even if there is, the narratives that we create for the pictures comes from what these forms mean to us, or the meanings that we attach to these forms based on the definitions that we already have within us. Like for example, for me, these are boobs. This is random, but yeah, the way that the way that you define these things varies, the way each person, the meaning that each person attaches to the form varies, and this is really cool, I think.
Yeah, the question here, touching the question of who is allowed to produce meaning? The artist or the observer, the historian, or is it just me? I'm in the power. Do I have the power to give these pictures my meaning for me because it means something funny and positive or challenging? I have a question from Nicole, if I'm allowed to post this to Aristeidis. She's asking if you would like to bring your super funny pics into the public space. Would you like that? She would find it very beautiful if you could bring this to the public space.
Yeah, I would. Maybe as sculptures or something, because if you put a painting on the public space, like it can be destroyed or damaged, or maybe you can bring a replica of the painting, but in sculptural form, I think it would be really cool to bring them onto the public space.
I could imagine it also as a, I don't know, 10-meter high mural on a huge building. That also would be super powerful.
Yeah.
The boobs, for example, or testicles, whatever. I would like them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
As a
It
mural.
could also be in prayer houses, or
Mm-hmm.
we have very progressive churches here in Graz as well, who are very interested in art. So it might be an option. Maybe we think about that.
Yeah.
For autumn then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Would be super nice.
We'll see.
Okay. Any other questions from the audience? From the brunchers who had
a question.
Verena. Yes.
Or I have two questions. First is about the technique of the Graz paperworks. Which technique was used?
Where? In all of them.
The ones that, for example, that we're seeing now.
Technique is something strange for me, because I don't know, I just went for it, and I didn't really use any specific technique. I mean,
But it's not an oil painting, right? What were you using in your?
Oh, the medium.
Yeah.
Okay, oil pastels. Okay.
Oh yeah, I thought so. Okay.
Okay.
And thank you very much. And the second question I have was related to what you talked about earlier. So it is something that has formed now in the last hour, because you said you went to school in the UK and then you returned and you had this feeling that you had to redefine your identity as a Greek person.
Mm-hmm.
And I often find that when you're abroad for a prolonged time, that you feel much more of this communal cultural aspect than you feel when you're in your home country. Because you're very often defined against the culture of the country that you're a foreigner in.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of in this counter position.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I was wondering, what's the interplay for you like between striving to create or find a meaning or find a sense of identity in your painting against, or at the same time adding to some sort of larger communal shared identity? Because you talked about both, But I was wondering whether how you make sense of this interplay, of this connection. Is it something that like has a lot of friction, or is it something for you that goes hand in hand, or is it something that is completely connected and you can't really dissect? Is it something that sometimes one thing is more prominent than the other? I was really
the Greek versus the international identity, you mean?
I thought your personal identity and the more communal one, because you talked a lot about Greek identity.
Okay.
And how this relates to your own personal identity. What is the process like?
It's ongoing, but I guess sometimes you know, like, well, a lot of the times, probably, like, that your personal identity comes in friction with a collective one, and you know, and like, also these things are also there's also like different scales and different like different communities and different ways that like each community defines the identity. Like for example, like like what for example, Greek people in Astoria in New York, like the Greek communities in New York, what they feel, what they the symbols that they use to relate to Greekness might be something very different to what like to how like a person living in Athens somewhere, you know, like in some area thinks about it. And like the way that your personal identity interacts with each of the, like, both of these communities might have different different beliefs, like, it's, you know, different beliefs and different opinions. So how your personal identity interacts with each one of these different communities, but might be a different thing, because it's a different context, you know, and different people, you know, like even on the smallest scale, you know, like you can be friends with like that person or this group of people, but then another group of people might not really get you, you know, even though you're at the same school, or, you know, even both of these, even if both of these like these groups identify as, okay, I'm gonna use like as like, I don't know, like punks, or, you know, like whatever.
That's what I wanted to ask. References from the pop culture, from the Greek or international pop culture, are not relevant, or
Sorry?
for you? References to the pop culture, to a Greek pop culture, international pop culture, are they also relevant for you, or for your Greek?
Yeah,
and then...
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, like yeah, very much so. Maybe not like I don't know, like I'm very influenced by music, so like punk rock, or I like, you know, or jazz, or like stuff like that influences me a lot, or on more like pop cultural scale, I guess cartoons or animations, you know. I really like, you know, like I really like that stuff. Or, you know, I used to watch like Pokemon when I was growing up, and
Okay.
you know, all these things I feel like they're in my work somehow.
As you say this, it reminds me of a punk friend of mine who did some works that had about the same colors than you have.
Hmm.
So also some of the symbols. I didn't see it before, but as you tell now,
I'm not really like, yeah, I'm not really like the super punk person. I'm not really that. I like punk a lot, but I wouldn't say like I'm, you know, that you know, I feel like proper punks would be like, who's this guy, you know?
he has a very special religious background as well. So
Yeah.
that really was striking at the moment. I will send you a CD, maybe you find something.
Cool.
Cool. Christiane Kader has a question. Mrs. Kadia, would you put on your screen?
Yeah.
And the microphone.
Hi, Aristeidis.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. I think it was a great
Good to hear
talk.
you. Thank you.
But I just wanted to refer to your sculptures. When I watched your website, I saw some sculptures in a ambient of a show, I'd say, combined with your paintings. I am wondering, how do you make them? From what do you make them? And the other question is, will you continue with sculpture? Because I feel many of those sketches, I would say sketches you produced in Graz, could be sculptures later on. Is sculpting something you that connects you with ancient Greek art?
Okay. So what I make them out of paper, the ones that are on the website, I made them out of paper mache. Yeah, so paper basically. I do plan to continue working with sculpture. I do like it a lot, and I want to continue doing it. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, this is actually the sculpture is all three of them are one sculpture, and they are actually they represent that little drawing that's there on the wall. You see it down on the left. So the sculpture is Zeus, so the purple form on the back is the head and the beard, and then the two other forms are the arm that's holding a lightning. The, you know, like
Zeus.
Yeah.
Zeus. Okay, that's Zeus. Okay.
The bicep, and the hand holding the thunderbolt. Yeah. So it does. Yeah. So it does have. I guess ancient Greek sculptures do have an effect on me, and all of the ancient Greek antiquity. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It was very,
Thank you.
very important to me how you explained the little this little painting on the left, and how it is related to the sculpture. It makes so much sense now. No, it's just it literally grew out of the painting. Thank you. Thank you.
Any more questions from the audience? I hope you're not too exhausted, all of you.
Elke, there is one question from Val in the chat.
Oh, thank you. I didn't see that.
No
Well,
problem.
you have a question, but I don't have it in the chat. Ah, well, unconscious reveals itself through our dreams. So, kopieren. Aristeidis, I send it to you as a private message again, so you don't have to look it up. She says, unconscious reveals itself through our dream. Is it something that you take inspiration notes from to develop your vocabulary?
Hey Val. So I it's weird, but I don't really remember my dreams a lot. I wish I did, but not so much. Sometimes I do. But yeah, I don't know. But I think that like I'm very interested in like how because it's meant to be that the things that we see in our dreams are symbols for other things, and this I'm interested in, like to see how like these symbols how you know what these symbols mean for each of us and also for all of us, and then see how I could possibly put that in a painting or use it in something. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. So, everyone's still fine? Seems so. Happy, concentrated faces. Thanks, Aristeidis. As it is 12:22, I would suggest that we call it a day, and Eva would guide us or give us a short impression of the exhibition of the Schaumbad. Is this true for everyone who wants to stay and join? Thank you, Barbara. Thank you very much for being
Thank you, everyone.
with us. Thank you, Aristeidis.
Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure. It was super nice.
Yeah, for me too. Thank you guys so much for everything.
Thanks for being
And
here.
the work of Aristeidis will be shown at Schaumbad until end of March, probably. We have 2 exhibitions in the house at the moment. Anya will come down to the exhibition hall with her laptop, and we will show you together our big exhibition Rendezvous in Bad, where there's also work by our other stereo artist in residence, Val Smets. And and then upstairs there is the exhibition of Aristeidis, and we hope that it can be open to the public from 10th of February, and then you can come in real and see the original works. So if you stay here, we will just have a walk through the house and see you again in the exhibition.
Okay. In the meantime, I could mention also that we support Weekends for Moria every weekend from Saturday to 10 a.m. to Sunday 5 p.m. At the Freiheitsplatz. There is a solidarity camp with the refugees at the borders of Europe. So just to let you know, you don't forget. Thanks for being with us. We are waiting for Eva or Anya to reappear. And I will reappear in some minutes. Also.
Okay. Ja, wir das jetzt? So, we are in the exhibition space right now. And actually on the left to show one of the works. This here is about fake news. And so I hope, yeah. It's about data in the internet, which only shows us part of the truth. It's a work by Gudrun Lang and Thomas E. Gartner. The exhibition here is called Rendezvous in Bar, which means people are meeting. Artists from Schaumbad meet artists from abroad or from other parts of Austria to work together on a piece. And the title of this exhibition is Digital Burning. So it's about, of course, the digital space. And well, the work I showed before, sorry, it's a bit disturbing. It's by Andrea Sadjak and Viviana Escalé. So Andrea works together with the dancer and choreographer in Spain. And while Andrea did here in Austria works with clay, Viviana was responding with her movements in Spain. So this is Viviana. And it's always, they send each other mails. And there's always one mail and one response. And it's during the lockdown, I have air problems. Stay away to keep safe. Yeah, I have to take off my mask because I cannot breathe very well. Usually we wear masks all the time. Here's a work with a Greek artist, Rika Kritara, together with Eva Maria Guck from Schaumbad. Eva Maria shredded her artworks in the time of the first lockdown. And now for this exhibition, she sent everything to Greece, where the performance artist and conceptual artist Rika Kritara put it on a beautiful white landscape and formed it there until the wind brought it away. So you see the sculpture in the Greek landscape. The work you see here is done by an artist who died last year. He only could move his fingers. He had some nerve disease. And the only movement he could do is using the mouse. And so it was his only communication with the world. And these are these beautiful images. And Markus Wilfling from Schaumbad, he was a good friend of him. And he made, together with Alexandra Gschil, a poem. Markus made the poem, and Alexandra, she put it on the screen. Anyway, you have to come here to understand everything. Anja will show you now the work of Alexandra. Its title is Restart Possible. So Alexandra put concrete on all countries, on all the land all over the world. And there is only some channels, canals, where she put sounds produced by 26 people who sent her sounds from their countries. And it's also lots of former Styrian artists in residence included. She asked everybody to send something from their own country. And this is a big collective work that shows something of the Schaumbad spirit, and is also a statement to our world as it is at the moment. And hopefully will not be. Anja now also shows you Val Smets' work together with Stefan Lozer. It is a sculpture picture on the wall, and it's expanded by augmented reality. Val Smets put it on fire using a specific app she's working with. So Stefan Lozer and Val Smets did this piece on the wall together, and Val did, I hope you can see the burning. It's a cold fire, it's not destructive. Here's a work by Sol Haring, who is hopefully still with us, together with Anita Peter-Mörth. And it's about doing gender. She is, you have to come to Schaumbad actually to hear it. We will keep something in secret, so you're still motivated to visit us. She collected statements with using the word doing as some Lautmalerei, like doing, 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 with different voices. And yeah, and we have two more works. This is Josef Wurm, together with the Hungarian artist Peter Balázs, who is doing nature art. Nature art is just there at the moment, and then would disappear completely if you would not take pictures. So actually what stays of these very ephemeral works is the digital picture. The ashes that stays with the open fireplace, Stefan Wurm did, were used to produce these pictures. So they both work on the on nature and fire as some counterpart of our digital. And now a very big, maybe Anja takes it. Do you?
I found it as well as you can.
Okay, we will work on that. Anja is a brilliant technician. Yeah, it has to be rebooted. This is a work by Kevan Paida, artist from Schaumbad, and Nick Korne, Ukrainian artist who lives in Graz, and together with an artist in Iran, Moshe Mokbar. And yeah, it's been running for too long. It's an interactive computer work called iBoard.
Oh je, das Audio ist ausgefallen. Martin, kannst du die Anja und die Eva wieder hörbar machen, bitte?
Ich habe es angefordert. So.
Mich jetzt?
Ja, sind Sie wieder da?
Ja, also was ich erzählt habe, ist in dem Raum, in dem wir waren, ist eine interaktive Arbeit von Kevan Paida, einem Künstler, der im Schaumbad arbeitet. Oh no, I switched to German, sorry. An interactive work by Kevan Paida, an artist from Schaumbad, together with a Ukrainian artist, Nick Korne, and an artist from Tehran, Moshe. Now I'm a bit confused. Anja maybe helps me.
Amir Mokhber.
Amir Mokhber. And it's working with motion tracking. So, and the work is called iBoard. So if you come in, the camera takes you and reacts to what you are doing, and it's sending different images. But it needs some time to find me. So after restart, but you see, changes are starting already. And I think it's something that you have to experience yourself anyway. So please come, play with our. Oh, now you can see the background of it, which is also very interesting, because Kevan, he made that sculpture on which the images are projected, and it is in the form of an eyeball. So you have the rare chance to see behind the installation. Okay, I think that's enough for it should be more or less a glimpse of what's going on here to make you still interested to visit us.
In person. And
we go upstairs to show a little bit of Aristeidis, and then in the meantime, maybe people can still ask questions, and then we say goodbye. Is it okay?
Thanks very much for your glimpse into the digitale Brennen.
Okay. Here now is Aristeidis' work. So you get an impression of the work in space. Yeah. I go backwards now. Yeah. And yeah, we hope to see you in the real space soon.
Yeah. Thank you all. It's been a nice Sunday morning with you all. Danke, Aristeidis. Danke, Eva.
Thank you so much.
Thank you also, Aristeidis. Hope to see you again in Graz.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to say all this, and I'm very happy to share it. And yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you also thank you, Anja, for the cool work, and Elke and everybody participating. Have a